Hey, it's Chris. Top 3 games coming to crowdfunding this upcoming week. Now, this could not be a more different set of 3 games. I'm not sure if ever when I've done one of these upcoming videos, I've had such a differing style, mechanical approach, as well as thematic incorporation of all 3 of these games. And you'll know if you listen to all 3 why it's so widely varying, right? And to be very frank, 2 of these 3 I am relatively excited about. And I don't get to say that a lot, but yeah, you put out a good product, and especially when it lines up with my tastes, I love talking about it, right? So there's my bias, there's my disclaimer, right? What do you need to know about these 3 coming to crowdfunding this week? So first up, Scarface 1920 is coming back with a Bloody Business expansion. If you're not familiar with this one was actually a surprise from last year, where all of a sudden this area control style of game where you're a gangster in like the 1920s, 1930s, whatever it is, you are trying to area control with a combination of worker placement and deck building. It's got an 8.2 rating on Board Game Geek right now, which, to be frank, I thought it was, especially when you combine all of that, what I just said, in a word jumble sandwich with miniatures. I was like, holy cow, this looks like, right? But people are really liking it. People are really liking it. And so now they're coming out with more content. And I think there was one expansion to go with the original campaign, and now they're putting out another. I'm guessing this is going to be somewhat of a reprint as well, because I haven't really seen this one pop up in retail at all since the release and since the delivery. So I would expect that you're going to see some more details as well shortly on that aspect of things in terms of what they're thinking along those lines. Now, they say obviously in a game like this, different paths to victory, but you're also not only going to be going up against player by player, you're also going to be going up against the feds and Elliot Ness. And so they're really trying to stay with a different element there with that area control, where there's almost a neutral aspect of things that's going to be interfering with your plans in the first place. Now, unfortunately, when you go over to the Board Game Geek description of the expansion Bloody Business, all they say is 3 years after the start of Prohibition, this is when it's taking place, introducing new mechanics, new elements that are going to multiply the game's narrative power, increasing its flow, facilitating implementation of some actions, enhancing strategies, and turning the game into a memorable battle. Like, that is the most vague description I've heard ever. Doesn't actually give you any insight into what's going on there. And so your guess is, frankly speaking, as good as mine right now. So we'll see what Scarface has in store for us when it launches this week. Number 2, and this is why this one, again, is such a far departure, right? We're going heavy area control, drafting, worker placement, deck building, and then we're going to a roll and write print and play. Right? But no, hear me out right now. Don't click away, because this company, Postmark Games, has a super good pedigree when it comes to their previous 2 roll and writes that they put out over the last year and a half on crowdfunding. You may remember Aquamarine, the underwater themed one. Then you also may remember the previously named one, Voyages, which is very, very similar to the Guild of Merchant Explorers, only as a print and play that came out before Guild of Merchant Explorers from AEG. And that was actually in my top 10 list of, I think, 2021. It was one of the games I was really, really impressed by. Really love it. Print and played it myself. Backer of both of those campaigns. And so now we're getting Waypoints. Waypoints is going to be more of a nature-themed exploration where you're rolling dice not only to determine how much time is left in the day, but also what the weather is. And you're playing over a series of 4 days, mapping out your hike, scoring for the animals that you're going to encounter, and the features that you've also run into. So if it's anything like the previous 2, you're going to get your money's worth. I mean, those are probably pound for pound some of the best, if not the best, play per price ratio games in my collection. And if you're like me, you color print them, you laminate 4 copies, and boom, there you go. And that's why I love it. And even with Voyages, Aquamarine, they've continued to put out stuff over the Discord. I have 4 different maps for Voyages. I have a couple, 3, I think, for Aquamarine right now. And I haven't even been keeping up on Aquamarine, to be frank with you guys. And so I'm really intrigued to see how different this one is going to be. And again, it's not like it's completely new and innovative, but they're incredibly solid, and each of the maps is different enough that it's a different experience, even though it takes a nice mechanic, simultaneous action selection play for a roll and write style. And so I'll tell you right now, there's very little chance that I am not going to be backing this one when it launches. So do I need it? No, but it's in line with the other 2, and this is why you crowdfund, right? Not a pre-order system. Okay, put your money where your mouth is. And third, but last, but not certainly least, Gloomhaven RPG, Gloomhaven Second edition Gloomhaven, RPG-based Gloomhaven, and Gloomhaven? Yeah, lots of Gloomhaven. On backer kit, though. Backer kit. This is probably the biggest win of backer kit, I would say, really, since Spirit Island. There really hasn't been a whole lot else big on backer kit. I'm probably forgetting something, but that's besides the point. We're going to see. We're going to see Frosthaven. We're going to see Gloomhaven second edition notes. We're going to see what this RPG is. We're going to see the miniatures of Gloomhaven. And this has easily the capacity, easily the capacity to be the biggest funding project of the year. Just does. Gloomhaven folks are hungry. And now you're combining the hungry Gloomhaven folks with the hungry miniature folks. The Venn diagram for that is going to be huge. And in combination with that, not only is that number going to be huge, well, the number of this is also going to be huge. So what are we looking at here? No idea. Would anybody really be surprised if this broke 8 digits? I mean, it's probably an overstretch, an exaggeration, if you will, but I don't know. They haven't really released a whole lot of information, pretty close to the vest right now. So price points, what all is going to entail, how much stuff is actually going to be available, and again, how differing is it going to be than, say, picking up retail? Are you going to incentivize people from that aspect of things? So I'm sure there's going to be tons of stuff that we just don't even know about yet as well. So it's going to be an interesting popcorn watching party right there, right? So that's number 3. Eldfall Chronicles, which I previously talked about at the beginning of the month in one of my lookbacks, I think of May, actually. I was informed in the comment section that it actually has a thriving Discord, and it's a highly competitive tabletop skirmish style game, and people are very happy with it from that aspect of the dungeon crawl feel. New characters, new enemies, miniatures, and we're going to kind of see where it goes from here with a Northern Wind expansion. So what's going to be different, how things going to change up, new characters, new enemies. Again, I thought this was more of a skirmish 1 versus 1, but maybe it's more PvP as well as PvE. So again, my lack of familiarity, I'm sorry, but we'll see kind of where it goes. And I mean, the aesthetic was definitely appealing last time, so there's always that as well to kind of attract the eye. And then the other one is going to be Nestlings, and this is more of a dice rolling, hand management, set collection, worker placement style game with a dice worker placement theme of birds trying to gain priorities across different biomes that you're going to have access to. The key mechanism here being first may be not the worst, but second might be the best if you're familiar with that, because first may get you the resource or the main reward of going there, but second gets you priority, which is going to get you better stuff later on. And so how are you balancing the dice worker placement aspect of things? So as you go through these rounds, depending on how many nestlings you can make in each one of the different biomes, you're going to be trying to feed as well as gather up segments of a resource ring, which are going to be more cumulative. So are you going for the immediate scoring of the feeding of more of your birds, or are you going more of the combo chaining long-term strategy? That's going to be kind of what we're going to see. Again, a very nature-themed game, and those have been relatively well-received on crowdfunding, so we'll kind of see what this one does too, and I wouldn't be surprised if it makes a little bit of a wave compared to a few of these others. So, yeah, there you go. Quick synopsis of what we got on the radar going this week. So, I got nothing going on this weekend otherwise. We're trying to figure out the soccer thing, man. You know, it's 2, maybe even, we can't figure it out. It's maybe 3 times a week, potentially, for a 7-year-old to have soccer practice. And I need to clarify it tomorrow, because they don't even tell us the schedule. They're like, well, it's twice a week practices, but there's also this Friday technical practice. Is the Friday technical practice part of the 2 practices? Is it separate than the 2 practices? How long are the other practices? They're between an hour and a half and maybe even an hour. We don't really know. We don't know what nights they're on. 7-year-old is kind of like, at first, no, I don't really want to do it. I just want to go do YMCA and have fun. And then he wasn't paying attention while we were talking, so that was his immediate reaction. Then we finally sit down and talk to him. He's like, oh yeah, I kind of want to do that. And now me and my wife are kind of like, well, that's a huge working commitment, right? It's basically September through most of November, and then they have December off, and then it's January practices for once a week for 8 weeks, and then it's April to June for another 8 weeks in there, potentially as well, 3 times a week if we're looking at that correctly in the spring, just like the fall. And when I say 3 times a week, I mean practices 3 times a week and then a game on Saturday on top of that. And not only are we anxious about him liking it, but like that's a huge forking time commitment for a family, right? Like I have 2 other kids too. And if we're going to be spending 4 nights or 3 nights in one day doing this, like, you know, we're worried about the home life balance and that side of things. So at the same time, we don't want him to miss out, and we don't want to do the what ifs. Like, if this kid really has a passion for soccer, is he going to really be that far behind? And gosh, it's, you know, I have more angst about this than anything I've had angst about like the whole year so far. So we're freaking out about this, and they haven't told us exactly when we have to let them know by, but there's not like enough kids yet on his team because they posted on their website that they're still looking for kids his age bracket, because I think they're trying to get 3 teams filled out in his age bracket, which, again, it's a whole nother issue, but it's just, oh man, can't make this stuff up, folks. Can't make this stuff up. You didn't think that this would be this hard, but it is. And so it's just this dilemma of what we're going to do back and forth. So, you know, I know most of you don't listen to this part anyway, because it's not board game related, but I mean, this is real life stuff. And this is what I do on this channel, right? Like, I'm a real person. I got a real job. I got a real family that I'm dealing with all the time while talking about this stuff that I love talking about too. But stuff blurs together, the stuff overlaps, and I go from there. I'd like to get some stuff played. I really haven't played a whole lot recently. I have a couple videos that are going to be coming out. I have a couple of videos to do for a couple crowdfunding campaigns. I think that 2 of which have finished, that I'm going to be doing a late pledge option sort of informational for. Ruse, the Fox worker placement game, as well as Disrupt, the other worker placement game I covered a few weeks ago. And then I just got a copy of Sigil, which is also an abstract game that I covered previously. And then World Breakers as well, the card game that's ending I think on Monday or Tuesday. And so I'm putting out one video for these, or for at least one of these. Hint, hint, the one that hasn't ended yet. Now, let me know in the comment section down below, if I do one of these small boxes, small games, you know, 1 versus 1 duelers, would you rather see 2 or 3 of them head to head compared, or even just multiple ones talked about in a game? Or is it better just to have a solely dedicated video? And that's the thing I'm struggling with right now, of going back and forth, because I feel like it's a little bit more work to have more in one video, but I feel like it's more user friendly for you guys too if I say, okay, well, here's this one, and then here's this one, and then here's this one, right? Like, even Shut Up and Sit Down, they said, okay, well, here's like 5 small box games all in one video, right? And so I'm leaning towards doing that, but okay, they each deserve it, but should I put them also in, because I feel like more of you are going to view in the first place if they're together than if I did each of these videos separately. So does it actually then benefit both the consumer, you guys, because more of you are going to look at that, and it's going to be more time friendly for you and consolidated, so you're not clicking separate videos if you have interest in this in the first place. It's also going to potentially be better for the publishers, because there's going to be just more eyes on them, even though if the eyes might not be originally attracted by their game, but also one of the other games, but then there's going to be some carryover, some collateral there. So I go back and forth on it. I'm feeling I'm going to combine this time and see how it goes, and you can let me know also in the comment section if you have strong opinions one way or the other. So that's my life. That's my opinions. That's my real stuff going on in the background. So that's all I got. Let me know what you think. Thoughts, comments, questions, concerns. There we go. I found me a copy of Thunder Road Vendetta Chrome. Got it for an amazing price. Called a couple shops around online. Got it shipped to me even. Got a new game from WizKids as well that hasn't been released, so maybe I'll talk about that one in the near future too. Too much to talk about, too little time. Stay classy. You know what to do. Peace out. Thanks for watching.